What's good, man? Welcome to Easy and Chop Podcast with your one and only host, Glory Boy. Like I said and I promised, man, I'ma still keep dropping bangers, man. And today we're going back to that topic. I remember 2 days ago or whatever, I dropped a video basically where Andrew Tate and Piers Morgan were going at it. Basically Andrew Tate was welcome to his show, da da da, and then boom, everything started where they were going at it, arguing this and that. Piers, trying to like say, oh, Andrew Tate is a misogynist, here and there, all for the way he uses his words on the platform. Basically, he's preaching hate, and as a misogynist, for the people that knows what that is, basically is a person who dislikes or who strongly is against women, and Andrew Tate tried to argue for himself. He tried to say, oh, trying to get him to understand, but he kept interrupting him. So let's go ahead and just check out this other interview that he basically had with a group of women and also this one guy, and let's hear from their own perspective how they see Andrew Tate and who they believe Andrew Tate to be. And before we go straight into it, y'all go ahead and just hit the subscribe button, because we bring in all the exclusive contents. This is Easy and Chop Podcast with your one and only host Glory Boy, and let's give myself a round of applause because this is gonna be one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Let's go. All right, so let's go ahead and just start the video right now. 1 second. Boom.
About the Piers Morgan nonsense, Andrew Tate is banned from social media for his videos about men and women, but when exactly does free speech become hate speech, and who should get to decide that? Joining me now, our political journalist, Tate, and talk to contributor Esther Krakow, author and podcaster and friend of Andrew Tate, Leah Halehern, and Times columnist Hugo Rifkin. Hugo, let me start with you. Thank you for joining the show. I've read your big Times interview with this guy, Andrew Tate. I found it very interesting because I knew I was going to interview him on television shortly afterwards. And what I was struck by...
Yo, before this started, I just think homie hates Andrew Tate because he said, this guy, Andrew Tate. I feel like there's something, like he disliked that man's like the way he presented him to people. Just say Andrew Tate, not this guy Andrew Tate. Come on, you gotta be at least a little bit respectful to the man. You get what I'm saying? That's top G. You know what I'm saying?
Although you were pretty outraged by some of the stuff he said and done, and found it personally pretty offensive, you didn't really seem to be able to conclude that he'd really crossed a line that deserved the punishment he's received in terms of social media wipeout. Would that be a fair categorization?
Yes, I wasn't convinced because I'm not quite sure what debate we're having here. It seems a given to me that there would be no place for Andrew Tate on a normal, conventional media outlet. They're not going to give him your show. They're not going to give him my show on Times Radio. That wouldn't happen. But it raises the question of whether we think that these tech companies, Instagram, Facebook, companies like that, ought to be being held to the same standards as traditional media. If we think they should be, then obviously he has no place in them. If we think they're actually more of a much more free arena where things that we might find in other places unacceptable are in fact acceptable there, then it becomes a whole different debate. And that's a debate we haven't quite settled, I think.
Right, because to me, it's not when Trump got removed from Twitter and Facebook and so on. If you're going to let the Ayatollah of Iran continue to have active accounts on these platforms, I don't see the consistency in banning a president of the United States or indeed someone like Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I hate the fact that he keeps bringing like other people in, to basically try to win the argument. You know what I mean? And it shows that he's trying to use whatever punchlines that he can get from each side of the world, you know what I mean? Just to make sure that, okay, whatever I'm saying is right. And everybody should be on my side.
That's quite fair. You've also got to accept that, look, huge numbers of people wanted to watch it. huge numbers of people wanted to listen to him. He's very, very good at what he does. In an earlier age, there were people like Andrew Tate who put out cassettes and CDs over on various forms of pirate radio. They had huge audiences. The audiences are much, much huger now, and they are and much less policed. They have much greater inroads. People like Tate into teenagers, for example. So it raises whole new questions, whole new issues. I'm not always convinced that just banning them is quite the right answer, but I'm not sure I'd quite like to be making that call myself.
Right. I think that's a really good point.
That's right. You can ban him, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of major platform. There's a lot of major people on these major platforms, YouTube, freaking Twitch, whatever, that's still gonna invite him to speak. And are you gonna ban them too? I mean, I don't think so, because now it's like a war against, influencers against whatever those high tech media, what you call them, producers. Know what I mean? So yeah, let's continue with this.
Yeah, Halburn, you're in Miami. You know Andrew Tate. You've been to his home in Romania. You know his brother. What kind of guy is he? I mean, many people who don't know much about him will hear some of the stuff he's been saying, which I play to him and challenge him on in the interview, and they'll be horrified. But what do you think?
What?
All right, we got a little commercial right here. 1 second. Let's skip this real quick.
Incredibly intelligent man. I think what he's doing is very important. Right now there's a huge war on masculinity. Men don't really have any... An incredibly intelligent man. I think what he's doing is very important. Right now there's a huge war on masculinity. Men don't really have any kind of role model that they can look up to. Andrew has been very kind and very generous with me. Like I said, I know him personally. I also know him from a business standpoint. I've spent time with him one-on-one. I've never felt uncomfortable. He's never been inappropriate with me. A lot of people accuse him of misogyny. He's never been misogynistic towards me. And I think what he's doing is incredibly important.
Okay.
And that's from a woman. And every woman gonna bash her and be like, girl, you stupid. Girl, oh my God, maybe he paid her. Maybe he paid her to say all this stuff. But I don't think he did. You gotta understand, people gonna always have their own opinions, their own experiences towards someone else. So if that's what is basically, if that what she believes, sorry, can't be my tongue, you know what I'm saying? But like, if that's what she believes, let her believe that. But a lot of people gonna bash her. They're gonna go after her. They're gonna say, oh my God, this woman is stupid. Like, what? Do you see what Andrew Tate be saying? Like, he be saying women, He be saying, 18-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-olds. You know, they're gonna try to bring all those things in just to make her look bad. But at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. Freedom of speech is very limited nowadays. Freedom of speech is limited. Whatever you say, you're going to be criticized. And plus, if it crosses certain line, you get canceled. Simple as that. It's crazy. Let's continue.
Your view of this. I mean, just from the exchange we just put a preview of, where he says he prefers 18, 19-year-old women to 25-year-olds. I think you're 25, aren't you? But, you know, when
you see how this dude is? Yo, I'm sorry to say this, but Piers, man, I don't know what you're trying to start, bro. I feel like this man's really trying to start the war, men and women against each other, because the way he's bringing up the words, he just said, oh, listen to this.
25-year-olds, things we just put a preview of, where he says he prefers 18, 19-year-old women to 20.
You see the way he used that word, where he said he prefers a woman 18 rather than 25-year-old.
5-year-olds, I think you're 25, aren't
And you see that? I think you're 25. Basically, he's using that tactic to get her to go against Andrew Tate. To not actually give her time to think of it herself and be like, you know what? Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. Give her the time to think about it herself. That's what we said. Let people answer. Ask a person one question and don't bring nothing after it. Ask them like, do you think Andrew Tate should be banned? Let them answer that. Do you think he was right when he said he prefers 18-year-old than a 25-year-old? Let them answer that. Simple as that, bro.
You know,
Ask Andrew.
when he generalises
This is
about
interesting.
25-year-old women in the really, I thought, pretty repulsive manner that he did in public, I think that is misogyny, actually, because he's branding a whole category of women in a very offensive way.
I think it's close to misogyny. I think it's actually more looking at women as objectively sexual objects, which inherently is misogynistic. But it's looking for purity in women. What he's essentially saying between those lines is that he wants some sort of virginal woman. Maybe that's why he takes this girl seriously. I don't know. But I mean, it kind of sounds a little bit like...
But he's,
now,
I mean,
come back,
on
it
the other
sounds a
side,
little
he's
bit-
allowed to. I mean, he can have these views. Does anything that he says, or the stuff that you've seen with him, does it cross a line where he deserves to be expunged from all social media, to be banished from the internet?
When you've got to look at the reaction that came off that. So the people who were duetting his videos or the people who were spreading his messages. When you've got 15-year-old boys espousing these sort of views where you're talking about women in purely sexual terms, and that has come from Andrew Tate, and that's where the problem is.
What do you think?
I don't actually think that's a very fair assessment. He didn't say, oh, I only date 19 years old, I prefer. He was making the point, and he could have phrased it better, absolutely. But he's saying
Which
that...
he did concede, actually.
Yeah,
making
exactly.
it.
Let her speak, bro. What did I tell you? Let your guests speak. Give them time to answer, bruv. Simple as that.
But the point he's making is, and he's a very intelligent guy, like Leo was saying, so he knows what he's doing when he's saying that. Obviously, he's got a massive reaction from it, so clearly it's worked. But the point is, you know, he's saying that younger women who have had less experience with men in general are more desirable because they don't come with a certain amount of baggage. Now, you could say there are women that are more experienced that come with less baggage because they know what they want, or they're more mature mentally.
But my view is you shouldn't be talking about women in that generalised
But there are
way
people-
at all.
Yo, I don't want you to feel some type of way, but I'm not on nobody's side. Andrew Tate, he can say whatever he wants. That's him. I think, from my own perspective, there's things that he says that are right, and there's things that he says that are wrong. So let's put that together. Boom. Let's sit down and just understand what's the wrong things and what's the right things. And let's just not jump into conclusion and take everything that man said and turn it into something bad. Like, that's the issue. That's the problem. That's what brings war against men and women in today's society. We got to understand this man has freedom of speech. He can say whatever he wants. But also, he has to watch what he says. But if you do watch most of his interviews, most of his podcasts, everything he was saying was basically based on his own views or based on age. Maybe he experienced different things when he was, let me say, at a younger age compared to today's generation, like I said in last video. Like, and let's just try to learn from each other. Let's not bring emotions ahead of everything. Like, let's be understanding. If someone is saying something wrong, let's try to go at them correctly. You know, just ask them exactly, what do you mean by this? And like the girl just said, maybe he meant to say this, but he just said it like in a different way where people misunderstood him. You know what I mean? So let's continue.
But there are people with those
I know
views.
a lot of 25-year-old women in my time, they're all very different. It's like the idea that you bracket them all in this revolting way, which he did, which is just a lad in a nightclub kind of way, is fine. But
But that's a
to do
generalization.
it with a big following, I think, is a malevolent influence.
And what
Let her speak, bro. Like, this is what I keep saying. she can't even get her point across because he keeps interrupting her because he knows she's not on his side. Absolutely, like she has her own opinion. You know.
Why there is their sexual history. That is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But there are women that are 18 that have a more elaborate sexual history.
Well, let me ask Hugo. Hugo, you spent quite a lot of time with him for your big interview for the Times. What did you actually make of him by the end? When you came away, what did you think of him?
Oh, we got on very well, but then we were two men sitting in his cigar room, bantering. You know, we had a good chat and a very honest chat. I mean, we had a very similar conversation to the conversation you're having at the moment. I think in different circumstances, I wouldn't have liked to introduce him to my wife. I wouldn't have liked to have to hang out with him and my female friends. I think that'd be intensely uncomfortable. But I noticed the way that at the moment, what we're doing, we're debating whether or not he's nice, whether or not the things he thinks are nice or right. What we're not debating is whether or not they should be allowed.
Right.
And I think it slightly worries me that we've drifted into thinking those are the same debates.
I agree. When did we already become the moral arbiters for whether people should be allowed a social media platform? I mean, let me go back to Leia. I mean, to me, you might find Andrew Tate's views offensive, unsavoury, misogynist, as I did on some occasions with him, although he made some concessions in the interview. I'm not sure by the end that I concluded he'd done anything really so heinous he deserved the punishment he's got. That was my real conclusion, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I don't think he said anything wrong. I think all he's doing is talking about reality. And I don't think it's misogynistic to say you prefer a woman that's 18 versus 25. It's literally just a sexual preference. It's the same reason why young women prefer older men.
Just to jump in, I don't think...
Cool,
I don't think that's the misogyny. I had this argument with my sons earlier when they saw the clip. The misogyny isn't that he has a preference for girls of 18, 19, and 25. The misogyny is in the way he talks about every woman who's 25.
But that's
as if they're all the same
reaction.
and they've all been through this tawdry background which he finds so distasteful. That's obviously ludicrous.
Well, I think he speaks with a lot of hyperbole. His goal was to go viral. Obviously, as Esther mentioned, not all 25-year-old women have been sleeping with every single man that they meet in a nightclub. So there's always exceptions. But I just think in general, a 25-year-old woman obviously has had more experience than an 18-year-old woman. And some men prefer that. Some men don't like that. And I think that's completely fine. I think what really scares me is the censorship that we see online. On Twitter, there's actually porn on Twitter. You have terrorists on Twitter. And yet a man who's just talking about reality and the real dynamics between men and women.
You know what? I have to say, Leia, I think you make a good point. I think that...
I don't like the way he keep cutting her off, bro. Let her talk. Yo, I'm sorry. This man's just pissing me off, like for real, like no cap. Like, you know what? We're gonna give him, man. We're gonna give him some crickets, man. For real, for real. You know what I mean? We're gonna give him whatever, some crickets, because that's what I'm hearing every time he interrupts somebody. Like, for real. Let's continue.
The Taliban have Twitter accounts. The Ayatollah of Iran, who's threatened to wipe out Israel, has a Twitter account. You know, Donald Trump doesn't. Andrew Tate doesn't. Why? You know, I can't really get a satisfactory response from these platforms. So it's a very interesting debate, I think, to be had. We're going to run the full interview with Andrew Tate. Well, the whole thing will appear on YouTube by the end of the week. We're going to run a good hour of it later in the week. It is a fascinating watch, I have to say. And you might like him, you might hate him. But the real question is, should he be banned? Thank you to my panel. Thank you to Hugo. Thank you to Leia. That's it from me.
All right, yo. Did y'all get this far from, in this video? If you did get this far in this video, please go ahead and comment what you think about this video. Like, what did you think about the interview itself? Piers just sitting down with those three women, and the one guy. You know, do you think the conversation was well thoughtful? Do you think everybody was able to get their point across? And your opinion on Andrew Tate? Do you think or believe that he should be banned? If not, comment below. If yes, comment below. I just want to see you guys' response to it. You know what I mean? Thank you so much. This is East Sip and Chat Podcast, which one and only host, Glory Boy. And we out of this bitch. Let's go.